Hello?
Are you alone? Well, if you're not alone, don't mention my name. That's very important.
Who do they want to speak to?
I don't know. Whom do you want to speak to, please?
You're obviously not alone. Is it my secretary with you? Is she old enough to be sitting up to supper? Oh, don't ring off, Larry. Please don't ring off. You can pretend I'm some man, you know. Call me Mr. Johnson. I know you'll find it quite an effort, but we won't go into that now.
Oh, Mr. Johnson. Well, it's not very convenient just now, Mr. Johnson.
Who's he?
Oh, he's trying to sell me insurance.
Oh. It's very quick of you, Larry. Make it life insurance, do you mind? I'll tell you why that's so funny when I see you. Or maybe it isn't. Maybe it's just a joke in incredibly bad taste.
Why, look, I thought we had this clear. I'm not interested in any of your propositions, and you promised there'd be no more phone calls.
Larry, I must see you. Will you come over to the house right away without telling anybody where you're going?
I'm sorry, but it's quite impossible.
Oh, I know you think it's one of those calls where I'm making excuses, but I swear to you this is not one of those times. Will you come?
Well, I'll think about it.
Hello, Doctor. How are you?
Intrigued, Miss Frobisher? Intrigued?
Oh, really? Why?
Well, I come to the station to pick up my serums, and what do I find? My neighbor, who has a telephone in every room and has walked miles to a phone box in a deserted station.
You've been reading too many thrillers, Doctor. Actually, my line is out of order.
You converted me to thrillers, Miss Frobisher. In any other author's detective stories, I spot the murderer not later than chapter 2. Yours invariably baffle me until the middle of chapter 4.
You have an unfair advantage. You know the way my brain works.
The dark recesses of the female mind? I can hardly claim to have penetrated that far. But I'm a keen student of human nature. I like people. Oh, I should be honored to drive you home.
I should be honored to accept.
Was it a satisfactory call, Miss Frobisher?
Oh, completely, Dr. Henderson.
Good, good. So few things turn out the way we expect them to these days. I get so many wrong numbers in that phone myself.
To save your asking, it was a business call.
My dear, you don't suppose I was going to pry into your affairs?
We'd have come round to it, sooner or later.
The dark recesses of the female mind. I wish you'd let me drive you right up to the house.
I don't trust you turning with that steering column. Besides, a short walk will do me good. I'll sleep much sounder.
I think one sleeps sound on one's own, don't you?
If not sounder, at least more often. Good night, Dr. Henderson.
Good night, Miss Frobisher.
Fury, all right. Do you think I'd forgotten you? Don't I always say good night? And this is a special good night, because it's a special night. I always have a snack for you, don't I? How are you, beautiful? Better. What would I do if I couldn't talk to you every night? Do you think Larry will come, Fury? If you were only human, you could answer. Maybe I'm not human either. Good night, Fury. On this special night.
must be Mrs. Preston.
Who are you?
You are Mrs. Preston, aren't you?
How'd you get in here?
Through the window.
What do you want?
Your husband. Will you tell him George is here, Mrs. Preston?
My name is Janet Frobisher.
Oh, I know. I've seen it on all those thrillers. I've even read some. You're good. But you're also Mrs. Preston. And that's not so good.
I don't know who you are or why you're here. But if you don't get out at once, I'll call the police.
I wouldn't do that. I said not to do that.
The line is out of order anyway.
Get your husband.
I've already told you.
Get him. Tell him George wants him.
George who?
Just George.
Well, he's not here. Obviously, nobody's here.
Find him.
Well, I think if my husband were here, I'd have called for him before now.
All right. We'll wait for him together.
You may have a long wait. I haven't seen him for months. They're mine.
Nice, comfortable fit. Size 11. My, what big feet we have, Grandmother.
What do you want with my husband?
Look at the front page. My name is Bates.
Bates.
George Bates.
The Metropolitan Bank of America.
Correct.
You did this?
We did it. Credit where credit is due, Mrs. Preston. We did it. Your husband and I, together.
But it says here there was a policeman shot.
He shot him.
The wounded man was able to identify one of the men as George Bates, an employee of the bank.
But it was your husband's gun that shot him, Mrs. Preston. It was your husband who pulled the trigger.
But they're looking for you.
And I am looking for your husband. When do you expect him back?
I hope he never comes back.
He arrived here early today from London.
Mr. Bates, I don't know what my husband has told you, but actually these are the facts. We've been separated for nearly 3 years. The people around here think he's in Malaya. I've told them he's a planter, that I haven't seen him for nearly a year.
Is that hat yours, too?
How long have you known my husband?
Since I was transferred from the American branch. We met and talked. He can talk, you know. I trusted him. I had a little money. He knew a lot about shares.
You found out otherwise.
Yeah. Then we used bank money. That went, too. So we decided we'd be smart.
Is robbing a bank smart?
Well, we bungled it badly. When the policeman showed up, your husband lost his nerve. He shot him and ran. We'd arranged to meet here. And here I am.
Mr. Bates, if I told you you didn't stand a chance of seeing my husband tonight or ever, would you go away, leave England?
No.
His papers are here, his passport, everything. His clothes would fit you. You're about the same height. You may have them. I'd help you go abroad, give you money. Will you go?
Your husband and I are going together. He's already fixed passages on a cargo boat.
For one.
For two.
For one, I have the ticket. I'll give you £1,000.
No.
Why not?
The policeman. If I clear out and he dies, Preston will say I shot him.
Well, he may say that anyway. You have absolutely no proof.
Oh, but I have. I've got the gun. With his prints on it. He got me into this, and he gets me out. Now, let's not waste any more time. He came here this morning, and you took him in. Where is he?
He's in there. The door is locked.
I know. I tried it. Preston! Preston!
He won't answer, Mr. Bates.
I'll make him.
You can't. Nobody can. You see, he's dead. I killed him.
You what?
I killed him this morning.
Why did you do it?
Because I hated him.
You must have been out of your mind.
I scarcely think you're in a position to pass judgment.
All right, let's have it. Who is he really?
My husband. At least he was.
Well, you could have left him.
I did leave him 3 years ago. I've already told you that.
But what happened then?
Blackmailed me.
About what?
Now, what are people usually blackmailed about? It wasn't very helpful to my career.
Will murder make your sales jump? You could have divorced him.
Oh, he was clever. He saw to that, too. He paid me visits.
What happened this morning?
I realize now he came here direct from the bank. He said he was in trouble and wanted money. He promised me a divorce if I'd help him. £1,000 and 3 days' shelter.
And you agreed?
When I gave him the money, he laughed in my face and said, "Now try and get your divorce." He sat there on the couch and asked me to bring him a drink. I refused. He became violent and started hitting me. I decided that was the last time he'd ever hit me. I brought him his drink, and I put something in it. It was all over very quickly.
So he hit you, did he?
Yes, Mr. Bates.
What made you think you could get away with it?
It wasn't important at the time.
Well, it's important now.
I was going to wait until night.
Yes?
There's a shortcut to the village behind the stables, the Tarn Road.
Tarn?
It's a natural lake 60 feet deep.
Where is it? There'd have to be weights.
Stones from the Tarn side. It's a deserted road, never used.
Who else lives in the house beside you?
Chris Dale, my secretary. She's away until Monday.
Maids?
A daily. She finished yesterday for the weekend.
Who else comes here?
No one. I've been working on a new book. The only person I've seen for weeks is Dr. Henderson.
Where does he fit in?
He's the local vet. Drove me home tonight. He's been treating Fury.
Did he ever meet your husband?
No one has, not even Chris. I told you they think he's in Malaya.
Where did you get the poison?
A compound that Henderson made for Fury. Hello, boy.
What time did Preston get here?
Early this morning.
Was he seen?
I think not. There was a heavy mist. We were alone all day.
The station, the ticket collector.
He was muffled up in a scarf.
Taxi?
He walked.
Nobody saw me either. I traveled on trucks and coal trains. Nobody saw me, Janet.
No, that's impossible.
Is it? Why?
I won't do it.
You'll do as I say. Your husband's dead. You killed him. They can't hang you for it as long as you can produce him alive. I'll make a good husband, Janet. Better than he ever did.
Someone's coming. You get out. Who is it?
It's me again. I'm sorry to trouble you. May I come in? I hope I'm not disturbing you, Miss Frobisher.
Well, it is a bit late.
I know, and I should have asked you in the car, but you know how vague I am. I'd like to collect the compound.
The compound.
The medicine I made up for Fury. Now that he's better, I think it might be safer with me.
Oh, I used it up.
All of it?
Yes.
And the horse still standing? Oh, it's a miracle. I shall have to put it on the market.
Why? Is it dangerous?
Well, in large quantities, yes. I thought I warned you about it at the time.
Did you?
Well, I thought I did.
Well, there's no need to worry. I wouldn't let anything happen to Fury.
Oh, I'm sure you wouldn't, my dear. Only as a favor to me, would you mind not telling the chemist about it? You see, I get all my raw materials from him, and he's very easygoing. You don't mean to say he's back?
Who?
Well, how stupid of me not to guess. Now, as your next-door neighbor, I think I might be allowed to be the first to receive him officially.
Receive whom?
Well, your husband. Oh, come now, won't you please introduce me?
Yes, of course she will. My wife wasn't trying to be inhospitable. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm George Preston.
How do you do, my dear sir? Good evening. So you're really Mrs. Preston? You've been keeping secrets from me?
Frobisher's only a pen name. George, dear, this is Dr. Henderson.
If I'd have known we were having company, I would have shaved.
Oh, nonsense. I'm practically one of the family. I only live on the next-door farm.
How nice to have medical aid so close at hand.
Oh, don't misunderstand me. Mr.
Preston.
Preston, yes. My patients are only animals. You see, the doctor's a courtesy title. One might almost say a pen name.
Would you care for a drink?
The doctor doesn't drink.
Well, as it's such a very special occasion, perhaps a little sherry wine. I only touch alcohol on my birthday.
Janet, dear?
And then I must get back and finish my writing.
Oh, you're a writer, too?
Oh, nothing cosmic. Just a paper for the Royal Society of Animal Medicine. Oh, which reminds me, my dear, do you think I might borrow your dictionary again for a day or two?
I should think so.
Good, good. Oh, I'm not the only one drinking.
We're not exactly in a party mood.
Oh, well, here's wishing you both a long life. There's nothing quite so warming as a...
Is anything wrong?
Oh, was I staring? I'm so sorry. It's a dreadful habit. Well, to work, to work. I'm very glad indeed to have met you, sir. Oh, my dear, the dictionary.
Of course.
Well, the last time I think you found one in the study. Shall I get it for you?
No, I'll get it.
You must be jolly glad to be home again, Mr. Preston.
Oh, yes, yes.
Malaya, wasn't it?
Most of the time.
Is it a hot climate?
Stifling.
Oh, that's odd. I thought it must be quite temperate.
What gave you that idea?
Well, your lack of sunburn.
Well, I spent several weeks in the hospital up in the hill.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Everything back to normal, I hope?
Fine. Fine.
Ah.
The new Oxford dictionary. Will that do?
Oh, our old friend. Yes, admirable. And now I'm afraid I really must tear myself away. Duty calls. Thank you for your hospitality. Oh, both of you. It really has been a most delightful surprise meeting you. And welcome back once more to your own fireside.
Thank you, Doctor. Goodbye.
Au revoir.
What were all those questions?
I could kill you.
You'd have had quite a night's work pitching two of us into the tarn.
I told you to get out.
It's lucky I didn't. You seem to be getting into quite a tangle.
You needn't have taken his clothes.
I could hardly have used my own. It's wonderful what new clothes do for you mentally. It's too bad this doesn't fit too. Your husband had good taste. In everything.
We're not going through with this.
You don't have any choice. I'm your husband. Here, drink this. You're going to need it. Shall we go?
Some 30 miles.
That's all right.
Looks like Janet's asleep. She can't be asleep.
Who is it?
My secretary and her fiancé.
You said Monday.
She must have gone to bed.
Janet! Janet?
Who's there?
Larry, it's Janet.
Well, open up then.
I'm afraid I can't. The door seems to be jammed. Janet, are you all right? Of course I'm all right. I didn't expect you back till Monday, Chris.
You remember Larry?
Quite. Did my faithful little secretary think I might suddenly have a juicy murder to dictate?
Janet, I do hope we didn't disturb you.
No, I'm only so glad I was still up. Just a bit late. After all, I'm a bohemian. It's fun for people to drop in. Adds to the spice of life.
I told Larry it might be too late.
Oh, so it was his idea.
I'm afraid it was. In the middle of dinner, I turned to Chris and said, do you suppose your employer would mind if we descended upon her for the weekend? Chris was doubtful, but I insisted.
I see.
I felt a craving for the mountain air.
The call of the countryside. Chris will show you to your room.
The guest room?
No, the one at the end of the hall. My husband is in the guest room.
Husband?
Your husband?
Yes, the night air teems with unexpected guests. Sounds like Shakespeare, but isn't.
But I thought that you and he were...
And so did I, but it seems that he believes whom God hath joined. It's very tiresome.
Well, I feel a little weary. I think I'll go to bed. Shall I show you to your room?
Oh, Chris, the phone is out of order. Would you have attended to in the morning?
Yes, certainly, Janet. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. What about the hat?
In the tarn with him.
We should have burnt it.
We should have a lot of things. What about them?
Gone to bed.
Good. I need a drink. Janet, as husband and wife...
As husband and wife, there is a communicating door between our rooms. It is locked.
They say a chair under the handle is even better than a lock.
A man who knows his place is better than either of them. Shall we go?
Good morning.
Good morning. Where's Mrs. Preston?
She's out riding.
Riding? Oh, what time is it?
10 o'clock. She said you'd had a very exhausting day and I was to let you sleep.
You're the secretary?
Yes, Chris Dale. May I say welcome home, Mr. Preston?
Thank you. When's she coming back?
Well, that's difficult to say. They've been gone about an hour.
They?
My fiancé's with her.
Oh. Tell her I want to see her as soon as she comes back.
Oh, this is Mr. Bigley. I asked him to call back, but he particularly wanted to wait.
I can come back if it's inconvenient, but I've cycled up here from the village and I've got a touch of arthritis and...
What was it you wanted, Mr. Bigley?
Well, I'm president of the Town Rotarians Club and we've our annual dinner coming up.
Very interesting.
Well, every year we have this dinner because it's annual, you see.
Obviously.
Beg your pardon?
What is it you want, Mr. Bigley? A subscription?
The Town Rotarians Club is not in need of cash.
Well, then it's unique. And what does it need?
We were hoping you'd come and address us.
Address you? On what?
On your experiences abroad.
Oh, I'm afraid that's not my line, but please thank the club for asking me.
Last year, young Alf Deaking was demobbed from the Navy. He gave us a most interesting address on Scapa Flow.
Well, maybe he can give you another one this year.
Oh, I don't think so.
Well, I'm a little out of practice for these things.
15 minutes on Malaya.
Mr. Preston only arrived back yesterday.
Oh, I know. Dr. Henderson rang me. That's why we wanted to get in first.
Well, suppose we leave it open for a couple of days, then Mr. Preston can think it over.
Yes, I'll think it over.
Thank you, Mr. Preston. You're most generous. Good day, miss. Good day, sir. Oh, I can assure you, as president of the club, you'll get a most hearty welcome. Aye, indeed you will. just wouldn't do to have scupper flow 2 years running.
You're going to get several of those. Would you like me to?
Yes, please. News travels fast around here.
I'm afraid Dr. Henderson is the local broadcasting company.
I'm sorry if I was abrupt just now.
Oh, that's all right. Things must seem rather strange to you after so much time.
Yes, things are rather strange.
At any rate, if you need any help, I hope you'll ask me.
Thank you. We'll get along fine.
We have no daily till tomorrow. Would you like me to make you some coffee?
Well, that would be very nice of you.
Oh, I found these in the study. Would you like them to be sent to the cleaners?
Those are just my gardening clothes. They're hardly worth cleaning. Oh, and I'd like my coffee black, please.
Right, Miss Preston.
A few more rides like that, and I ought to be able to control the horse.
A few more topics like this, and we ought to run out of small talk. Have you a cigarette? Thank you.
Janet, I love Chris very much. I don't intend to hurt her.
Is that why you brought her with you last night?
Yes.
I thought so.
Janet, why did you send for me last night when you knew your husband was in the house?
Because I'm a wicked, shallow woman.
You're about as shallow as that water. And that water's pretty deep. Why did you really send for me?
I don't want to talk about it.
What are your husband's plans?
He leaves tomorrow.
Just like that? He leaves tomorrow. As though you were losing a maid.
Actually, I'd be more upset over losing a maid. Unfortunate we can't lose Chris tomorrow.
Chris has nothing to do with you and me.
Oh, I should be shocked to find out that my nice little secretary had anything to do with you and me. Especially me. Come on, Fury. Let's race him to the house.
What chance have I got? The two of you are practically unbeatable. Almost unbeatable.
I have no comment.
Do you want to know something?
What?
I don't think you even tried.
You must give me another chance tomorrow.
Well, and about time. Lunch has been ready for half an hour.
You shouldn't have waited for us.
Oh, and Mr. Preston wanted to see you as soon as you got back.
Where is he?
He's up in his room. He's been there all morning.
Larry, would you mind seeing to the horses?
Of course.
Don't wait lunch.
And how is the famous Mr. Preston?
Very strange.
Doesn't sound like the gayest companion for a weekend.
No, he doesn't.
What have you been doing all morning?
Staying at home typing while my fiancé goes out riding with the most attractive boss.
What have you been doing?
Minding my own business.
You've got no right to go out and leave me with strange people around.
Mr. Bates, last night I made you an offer, £1,000 and a passport, and you refused. Instead, you decided to start a masquerade. Tomorrow the masquerade finishes, and what you do or feel today doesn't concern me in the slightest.
Mrs. Preston, from now on, I'm giving the orders in this house.
You will leave tomorrow.
I'm staying indefinitely. Otherwise, I'm telling the whole story.
It's your word against mine.
I'll risk that.
Last night you put a man in the tarn, Mr. Bates.
The husband is dead. Long live the husband.
You put a man in the tarn, and he wasn't dead. Not dead, Mr. Bates, only drugged. It was dark and you had to hurry, remember? Chris and Larry arrived unexpectedly and you had to do it alone. You put a man loaded with weights into 60 foot of water, and he wasn't dead.
You can't make
Do you
me...
feel his pulse, Mr. Bates? Or his heart? Do you turn on the lights?
You're lying.
Perhaps. You'll never know, will you? You'll never be quite sure. You're leaving tomorrow. Oh, they're waiting lunch for us. George, are you coming?
Janet! Janet!
It was a wonderful morning. Fury's never been as fit. George, you know Chris. Larry, this is my husband, George.
How do you do?
How do you do?
How's the work going, Chris?
Oh, it's coming along fine.
Larry tell you he raced to the house and that he won?
No, he didn't.
I always thought Janet was unbeatable.
And you found out otherwise. You know, Fury has never been as fit. It was a glorious morning. Get out of here.
I'm not going, Janet.
Get out of this room.
I'm not a criminal type. And this thing is too much for me alone.
You've been drinking.
To help me think soberly. And do you know what I've thought? You need me as much as I need you. We're in this thing together, right to the end. For better or for worse, in love or in loathing, we're married, Janet.
Can't we discuss this at a more reasonable hour?
There's nothing more to discuss. You can go back to sleep now. Oh, from now on, I'll be using this door. It'll add a touch of authenticity.
You fair startle me.
Good morning. I'm Mr. Preston.
Mr. Preston?
Yes, I came back Saturday. You're Mrs.
Buntin, sir. Mrs. Buntin. I come in Mondays to Fridays.
Oh, yes, I've heard all about you, Mrs. Bunting.
I'd no idea that...
Neither had my wife. My return was unexpected.
Yes, sir. Madam must have been very surprised.
Madam was. Do you have any papers?
Papers, sir?
Morning papers, newspapers.
Oh, no, sir. Lad usually delivers them, but they won't be here for another 2 hours at least.
2 hours?
He has to cycle from Town Moor.
Oh, yes, I'd forgotten. It's been a long time. Well, I'll probably take one of the horses and ride over for them.
Yes, sir. Would you be wanting some breakfast first?
No, thanks. Oh, but I'm sure my wife would be most grateful for a cup of coffee.
Yes, sir.
And what can... Well, if it isn't Mr. Preston, this is an honour. A cup of tea?
No, thanks.
Whatever brings you into town more at this hour?
I came for the papers.
The papers? Oh, there's only one and the lad delivers them to you. He'll be leaving in a couple of minutes.
I was rather anxious to see it this morning. There should be a review of my wife's new book.
You don't say. Well. The new book, what's it called?
I'd better read the review first. We may want to hush it up.
Oh, that's not likely. They're all lovely stuff. I've got the lot here, you know.
Is this the only local paper?
Just the one. Did you think any more about our club, Mr. Preston?
Huh? No, I'm really not settled in yet.
Oh, no, of course you're not.
I like the London papers, too.
Oh, I'm afraid I can't give you those. They have to be ordered specially. We don't get many, and Miss Frobisher, I mean Mrs. Preston, doesn't usually have them.
Oh, I see. Are you the only paper shop?
I'm afraid so. I'll tell you what I can do, though. I'll ask Dr. Henderson to save you his copies.
Dr. Henderson gets the London papers?
Morning and evening. Not for love nor money would he miss those crossword puzzles.
I'd like to order them tomorrow.
But of course, London papers for Mr. Preston.
Oh, and I'd rather you didn't bother Dr. Henderson.
Just as you say. And Mr. Preston.
Yes?
You won't forget to consider it, will you?
Consider what?
The town Moritarians.
Oh, yes.
Well. There goes a fine, considerate gentleman.
Pound that thing every day?
No, not at all.
I thought my wife was the writer.
She's finished the book. The rest is up to me. Am I disturbing you?
Oh, go ahead. Anyone up?
Up. In the middle of the moors by now.
Riding?
Of course. Fury has to have his exercise.
She certainly worships that animal.
Well, he is rather magnificent, don't you think?
She should have married the horse.
The break will do her good. She's been working very hard.
When's your great day?
With Larry? Oh, we haven't decided, definitely.
Well, don't wait too long.
Was that the gypsy's warning?
It's just a piece of advice for what it's worth.
Cigarette?
No. I'm one of those awkward people who get ash in the typewriter.
You go out alone?
No, Larry went with her. I think she enjoys his company.
I think so, too.
Don't you trust your wife, Mr. Preston?
Not particularly.
Oh, I can finish this later.
No, go ahead. Where does she usually ride?
On the moors.
Which part of the moors?
Well, that's difficult to say. You see, they're pretty big and...
Why are you looking at me like that?
Because I'm in love with you. I've told you that before. You must keep this sort of thing in mind. I'm clinging to you, Larry. You see, I'm the clinging type.
That I don't believe. Because I know you. You're not clinging to me or anyone else. Janet, are you in some danger?
Danger.
Are you frightened of something?
How absurd. I've never been frightened in my life. Larry, for a man, you have disgracefully long eyelashes. Poor darling, your feelings all mixed up.
I want you and I hate you. Both together.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was just coming up to see you.
Well, what did you want to see me about?
Well, all this time I've been trying to think why your face was so familiar. Well, this morning when I opened the papers, I found the answer.
The papers?
The London papers. You obviously haven't seen them yet. There. Recognize yourself? George Bates, the bank robber. It's been enlarged from a snapshot, do you see?
You know, there is a definite resemblance. It's hard to see it staring up at you.
Oh, don't be too hard on yourself. Actually, it's a purely superficial likeness. Your face is fuller. It's more healthy.
I'm relieved to hear it.
Pity about the policeman, though.
What about the policeman?
Yes, haven't you followed the case? The policeman who gave the alarm. He's been shot. He's not likely to recover. That means a rope for somebody.
May I see that paper again, please?
Certainly, old fellow. Keep it. Actually, it's got the weakest crossword of the lot. Well, off we go on our respective travels. Oh, I hope I haven't upset you with my little joke.
No, of course not.
Good, good. I knew you had a sense of humor.
They're not back yet?
I'm afraid not. Oh, Mr. Preston, I've been thinking over what you were telling me.
About what?
About waiting to get married.
Oh, that. Can we talk about it some other time?
Yes, of course.
It's just that I'm... Now, wait a minute. Oh, it's that fool Henderson. Let him in.
Ah, the top of a very fine morning to you, my dear.
Hello, Doctor. Come in.
Oh, thank you. You know, I must be getting feeble-minded. I forgot to return you the dictionary. Met him on the moors, my dear. Just didn't give it him.
Thank you. I'll tell my wife you returned it. Now, if you'll excuse me, Doctor.
Mr. Preston, if I hadn't had to come here this morning, I doubt if I'd pluck up enough courage to ask you what I'm going to ask you now.
Doctor, I don't want to seem rude.
Oh, won't you humor an inquisitive neighbor by asking him to sit down for a minute?
All right.
Oh, thank you. In return, a cigarette? I don't smoke myself. Not a very good brand. I'm afraid I carry them for my clients.
Thank you. What did you want to say?
Mr. Preston, can I help you in any way?
I don't quite follow.
Well, for the last couple of days, I've taken the liberty of studying you.
Studying me?
Oh, purely for purposes of research. You see, I happen to be a keen amateur psychologist.
I don't think I like being put under a microscope.
Oh, I haven't offended you.
Oh.
Good.
What have you discovered?
That you're running away from something.
What do you mean?
Oh, not physically, of course. I mean mentally. You're an escapist.
What makes you think so?
Well, your long rides alone, your apparent preference for your own company to the exclusion of everybody else, including your charming wife. You're running away from something, and I can't help wondering what it is.
You study all your friends this way?
I must say I find the escapist character fascinating.
It's an interesting diagnosis, Doctor. I must let you read my diary.
Oh, I doubt if you keep one, Mr. Preston. You don't look like a man who confides his secret thoughts even to paper.
Well, Doctor, to what do we owe this honor?
Good morning. I called to return the dictionary. My dear, you look radiant.
Fresh air, it's wonderful on the moors in the early morning. So green and washed and bright. Should have come with us, George.
I tried to.
Well, I really must be going.
I see you're still driving that death trap.
Yes, but now even I have to admit she's on her last legs. Au revoir.
Don't I get a good morning, darling?
Who does he think he is, always snooping around here? Can't we ever be alone in this house?
George.
I'll be in the study.
I didn't mean you. It's Henderson. He gets on my nerves. I want to see you. That is, if Larry will excuse you.
Marital bliss. Not a very good example, is it?
It's Henderson. He makes him angry.
Yes, I know. I heard him. And while we're on the subject of making people angry, why did you sneak in the front door instead of coming in here the quick way?
Oh, orders. Mustn't stop you working.
I'm going to ask you a question.
What is it?
And yet I don't want to ask you because I know you're going to answer me truthfully, and I dread to hear the answer.
Then ask me just the same.
Larry, you first met Janet a year ago when I took you to her birthday party. Do you remember?
Yes, but what's the question?
Between then and coming here the night before last, have you been seeing her without...
Very well. There you are. They're only your fingerprints now, George. The party's over. They know whom they're looking for, your photographs in all the papers. You got away with Henderson, but there'll be others. It's time you were moving on, George.
And if I refuse?
Oh, you wouldn't be so stupid. You may still have the passport and the money. It's obvious we don't get along as man and wife, and if you leave now, there'll be no questions asked.
Janet, are you all right?
There's your Boy Scout.
Quite all right, thank you. I just knocked a lamp over.
Now, why don't we be sensible? I've more chance here than on the run, and you've more chance while I'm here.
I have nothing to run from.
You're up to your sweet little neck in accessory to murder. For the love of heaven, Janet, can't you see it's madness to play against each other? Henderson may guess the truth, but he can't prove it. Nobody can, as long as we stay together.
Very well, George. Play it your own way. Now, if you have no objection, I'll join the Boy Scout.
Good evening. The study windows were locked.
I know. I locked them. You're back early for once.
Rain's pretty heavy.
Too bad. Where is my dear wife? Don't tell me you've tired of each other already.
She's taking care of Fury.
We have a rival, Larry. She loves that beast.
I take it you don't.
People who love animals too much seldom love their fellow men enough. I do not like the human race. I do not like its silly face. But give me a puppy for a friend, and I'll be faithful to the end. Have a drink.
Not for the moment.
Go ahead, do you good. Help you to see straight.
No, thanks.
Got it all mapped out, haven't you? The engineer knows all the answers, except one. Women. That's your problem, isn't it? Mine, too.
Look, don't you think we ought to discuss
Don't worry about Chris. She can't hear. She's upstairs in her room. I know because I heard her crying. If you had any sense in that surveyor's head, you'd go upstairs to that girl of yours, tell her you're in love with her, and marry her. Quick.
I appreciate your concern.
She's a nice kid. I don't like to see her get hurt.
I wouldn't say you were a great authority on marriage, Mr. Preston. Mine or anyone else's.
Stay away from Janet.
If you don't
Keep away
mind.
from her, Larry. I'm telling you for your own good. You're a marked man. She's marked you. She's got you here. She's kept Chris busy to leave you with time on your hands. You're a marked man, Larry.
Who locked the study windows?
I did. I like to know when people come in. I'm sorry I raised my voice, Larry. With Janet, everything has to be smooth and soft and green, like poison ivy.
You've obviously been drinking again.
I've been telling our young friend about women.
Larry, I'm sorry.
Hark at that soft tone, Larry. Soft and caressing as quicksand. Soon as we get anywhere near the truth, they turn soft on us. That's their trick. Watch out for it, Larry. It'll pull you down. Then all you've got left to fight them with is force. Force!
Put that down. You're behaving like a child.
No, don't leave, Larry. Janet needs your company.
I don't think she needs the two of us.
That's true. In which case, I shall behave like a gentleman. I shall go. I don't know quite where. Maybe down to the village to amuse myself. Maybe over the moor. Yes. Yes, that's an idea that might amuse me very much. I think I'll take your horse for a gallop.
Don't you go near Fury. He's mine. Don't touch him.
I'll stop him.
No, Larry, let him go. He'll be trampled if he tries to mount.
But I got to for his own sake.
It's his own fault.
I'm going to change my jacket.
The typing's in the study. It's finished and checked. I put it in an envelope. It's addressed to the agent.
Thank you, Chris.
Janet, I've got eyes and ears and senses.
Oh, you've got more than that, Chris. But it's obvious you don't know what to do with it.
You can have any man you want, can't you, Janet? Just by snapping your fingers.
You flatter me.
I watch you do it 4 or 5 times. I'm only interested in one man, Janet. Won't you let me keep him?
You're learning to use words quite prettily, Chris. I think this job has done you a lot of good.
Don't take him away from me, Janet.
Doesn't that rather depend on Larry?
Does he really mean anything to you? Do you love Larry?
I want him. I wanted him from the first moment I ever saw him. You asked a pretty question. I'm giving you the ugly answer.
Thank you.
No suicides or anything melodramatic.
I'm going home. I decided that this afternoon.
Well, that's the usual procedure when this sort of thing happens.
There's a London train in about half an hour. I'll send for my things later.
Very wise of you, Chris.
Yes, I thought you'd think that.
You're not a very good loser, my dear.
No, I'm not. You see, I'm in love. And when you're really in love, you can't be a good loser.
How about a cup of tea, Larry?
No, thanks.
Drink?
No.
Everything's working out divinely. Chris is leaving.
Leaving? Where is she?
In the study.
Goodbye, Larry.
What on earth do you mean?
I'm leaving. I'd be very happy if you'd come with me.
But, Chris, this is ridiculous.
I'll marry you whenever you wish. If you still want me.
You're making things very difficult, Chris.
Things are difficult. I believe this is the usual procedure, too.
But she can't decide this in a moment, Janet.
Let her go, Larry. Let her go.
I'm going after her.
But Larry... Larry, you can't leave me alone in this house. I have no one else I can count on. You don't know what I've been through. I thought the years might have changed George, but he's worse. He's evil. You can't imagine what he's like.
Janet.
Oh, it's you, Larry. It's always been you.
Sorry, I had to do it.
Had to? Do what?
Fury. He stumbled in a rabbit hole and I fell off. I expected him to get up, but he didn't. He was in pain. There was blood in his mouth,
So I shot him.
You shot Fury.
I had to do it.
Oh,
There's nothing you can do.
Larry. Larry, get Henderson quickly.
Henderson's coming. I've already sent for him.
You've killed Fury. That horse meant more to me than anyone on earth. Every night I used to talk to him. Every night. In a way I could never talk to any human being. There isn't a man, woman, or child I wouldn't see dead at my feet now. If I could bring him back to life. And you killed him!
I shot him because it was necessary.
Oh, no.
Drink this.
Good evening, my dear.
No.
I know. I've just come from there. It was all over very quickly. Leave all the final arrangements to me, my dear, will you?
It's very kind of you.
No, not at all. It's part of my job. It's the least attractive part. Do you mind if I use your phone?
Of course not.
It's fortunate that you were armed.
Habit I acquired abroad, Doctor. If you'll excuse me, I'll get out of these wet clothes.
Of course. Of course. He's a very unusual man, Mrs. Preston, and seems to be pretty highly strung, which may, of course, account for it.
Accounts for what?
Forgive my... Jarvis, this is Henderson, yes. I'm afraid there's been a casualty. Yes, a dyke fell. Mm-hmm. A chestnut stallion. Yes. Would you take care of it first thing in the morning for me? All right. Thank you.
Accounts for what?
Forgive my asking, but what did your husband tell you about tonight's accident?
That Fury had caught his foot in a rabbit hole and it had to shoot him.
There was no rabbit hole. There was no hole of any sort. I've been over the ground.
Then why did he fall?
Are you sure that he did? When I examined Fury just now, his only injury was a bullet through his brain.
No. No.
Do you mind if I leave my Jeep outside for the night? The steering is positively perilous this weather, and I'm afraid the brakes are now completely out of action. The heavens have really opened up tonight. What a downpour. However, the crops will benefit. Out of evil cometh good. That is occasionally. Good night, my dear.
going to take a lot of courage to say this. You've been right all along, and I've been a stupid fool. It's going to be the way you want it. Just the two of us, nobody else. Nobody. That's the way you want it, isn't it, George?
You really expect me to believe that?
I'll make you believe it.
How?
Chris has left Larry. In 15 minutes, she'll be on the London train. I want you to bring her back, George. I want you to make her come back, tell her Larry wants her. This is her engagement ring. I want you to give it to her. Henderson's Jeep is outside. You can take that. Give it to her. Tell her Larry said, wear it for me. Hurry. Larry, where did you go?
To stop Chris.
And did you stop her?
No, the train had gone.
What for, Larry? What for, Larry?
Janet, don't let's fool ourselves any longer. You and I have been an infatuation. Nothing more. I'm going to marry Chris. Janet, don't do that.
But this is a very funny thing that's happening to me. And when I'm amused, I laugh. I'm in love with you, deeply in love
Janet.
with you. Don't interrupt me. A nice woman wouldn't say things like that, would she? Chris wouldn't say that, would she? Well, I'm not a nice woman. And because I've been in love with you, I've gone to quite a little trouble in the past few days. If I told you exactly how much, your blue eyes would pop out of your beautiful head. And after all this, what does it come to? You're going to marry Chris.
Janet, pull yourself together.
Thank you, Larry. Now get out.
Janet, if I can help you in any way.
How dare you offer to help me? I don't want your help, yours or anybody else's. Now get out of my house. Get out! Larry!
Good morning, Mrs. Bunting.
And since when have you been coming round back door?
Since now. I just thought I'd pop in for a chat. Is Mrs. Preston in?
No, she's gone out for a breath of air.
Good.
Now, just what are you after, Dr. Henderson?
My intentions towards you, my dear, are strictly honourable. How is Mrs. Preston this morning?
Poor lass, she looked right done in.
Yes, it's been a terrible business. How's Mr. Preston?
Well, he's in bed and he's alive. But if you ask me, the whole thing's a miracle. Would you like a cuppa?
Yes, I would like a cuppa. Thank you. Mrs. Bunting, I don't like to pry into affairs that don't concern me, but since Mr. Preston first arrived, have you noticed any violent disagreement between him and his wife? Say, a quarrel that's driven them apart?
Now, should I know that?
Now, think hard, Mrs. Bunting.
I never set eyes on him till Monday morning, and then I didn't know who he were.
You'd never seen Mr. Preston before?
Only in an old photograph, and that didn't look much like him.
What photograph?
There's an old wedding photo on top at bureau.
Do you think I could glance at it just out of curiosity?
That's more than my job's worth.
Come, Mrs. Bunting, just a peek.
No. That'd be nosy parkering, and it doesn't become you, Doctor.
Nosy parkering, Mrs. Bunting, you know me better than that.
She's right, Doctor. It doesn't become.
My dear sir, it's good to see you up and about again so soon.
Thank you, Mrs. Bunting. It doesn't become him.
Well, you had a bit of luck last night. The ways of Providence are certainly unpredictable, aren't they?
Did my wife send for you, Doctor?
No. I called to inquire after your health.
And my photograph?
Forgive me. That's my insatiable curiosity again. As a matter of fact, I also called to collect the remains of the compound that I made up for Fury some time ago.
Compound?
Horse medicine. It's poisonous. Now that the animal is deceased, presumably it'll no longer be required.
I don't know anything about it.
Are you sure? A small bottle? Bluish?
Quite sure.
Ah. I understand that last night you were on your way to the station to bring back Miss Chris.
Yes, but I failed. Now they've both gone.
Leaving you and your wife here to enjoy your marital state in peace, hmm?
Look, Doctor, I wrecked your Jeep. I'll pay for it in money, not words.
My dear Mr. Preston, the Jeep is more than adequately insured.
Each time you come here, there's some sort of cross-examination.
I didn't mean to imply...
Come to the point. What are you after?
The truth, if possible. I am interested in people and events. And some of the aspects of this house strike me as being a little unusual.
For example?
May I tell you a story? It's brief, it has point and clarity, and I think hangs together.
Well?
It's about a man wanted by the police who comes to a house, a lonely house on a Yorkshire moor, and insinuates himself into the good graces of a talented and beautiful woman, his wife. She, oddly enough, has no affection for him and seems even to resent his advances. Blinded by frustration and jealousy, he kills an animal, only an animal. That may seem a supremely unimportant felony to you, Mr. Preston, but to me, it is murder of a peculiarly vicious and unforgivable kind.
A remarkable flight of fancy, Doctor. You've missed your vocation.
Fancy?
Tell my wife it should make a successful book.
I'll do that as soon as I have the last chapter.
Since we're asking questions this morning, do you mind if I ask you one?
Certainly, by all means.
Why did you leave your Jeep here last night?
Well, because it wasn't safe to drive. I remember remarking on it to your wife at the time.
Do you mean you actually told my wife it wasn't safe to drive?
Yes, I did. Such an extraordinary storm, one of the worst we've had.
Doctor.
Good morning, my dear.
Morning, George.
I was just congratulating your husband on his miraculous escape last night.
I know. I was so distressed about Fury that what you had told me about the Jeep went completely out of my mind. It was all my fault.
Oh, don't let's dwell on it, my dear.
Last evening he rushed out without even a hat or a coat before I could stop him.
Exactly. But he came back.
Yes, he came back.
I tell you one thing that'll never come back, and that's my Jeep. It's beyond repair.
I'm sorry.
I took a look at it to see if it could be salvaged.
Been down to the water?
Early this morning. It was cold and raw, but I'm glad I made the effort. While I was down there, I found this. It's a hat. A man's hat. Don't you recognize it?
Should I?
It's your husband's. I saw it that first night he was here. It was lying over there. I remember it distinctly.
Oh, yes, of course it's his. It must have fallen off in the accident.
Oh, then he did go out in a hat last night.
Oh, well, he must have done. Oh, Doctor, you will have to forgive me. I'm still so utterly confused.
Of course, my dear. It's been a great shock for you, and you mustn't distress yourself. Well, I must be off. I'll take that, if you don't mind. It's a very interesting discovery. And who knows what we may find now that they're dragging the town.
Dragging the town? What for?
The insurance company insists.
Oh, but that is ridiculous.
Well, I'm afraid it's inevitable. You see, I found something else down there. I couldn't get to it. It was lying on some submerged rocks. I couldn't even see it properly except to recognize that it was a body. The body of a man. How he got there and why, it's impossible to say yet. There'll be an inquest, of course, and no doubt a post-mortem. Oh, if there's anything I can do, my dear, you'll telephone me, won't you? Au revoir.
George, I'm frightened.
Are you? It's possible. I never know about you.
They'll be up here soon, asking us questions.
Not us, Janet. You.
George. George! What you going to do?
I'm leaving. I ought to kill you, but I'm not going to.
You think I tried to kill you. You think that, don't you?
I don't think it. I know it. You tried to kill me just like you killed him. When I put him in the tarn, he wasn't alive. He was dead. Completely dead, wasn't he? He was dead, wasn't he, Janet? Wasn't he?
Yes. Oh, George, don't go. Forgive me. I lost my head. It was fury. I was out of my mind with grief. Henderson lied to me. Made me believe you shot him on purpose.
Clever man, Henderson.
Oh, George, don't you see what he's doing? Trying to set us against each other. That means he's not sure. We're safe, George, safe as long as we stay together. You've always said so. You were right. You've been right all through.
If you hadn't tried to get rid of me, this would never have happened. It's poetic justice, isn't it?
George, take me with you. We'll go away together. They'll be here soon asking us questions. I don't know what to say.
Something will occur to you. It always does.
No, George. No, George. George, stay with me. Just for 5 minutes. Talk to me. I know. We'll have a drink. A farewell drink. You can't refuse me that.
Yes, there is a way out even now. Clear-cut and plausible.
What?
Suicide. Not yours, mine. I killed your husband, forced you to accept me in his place. I threatened you, frightened you into it. When I saw them dragging the tarn, I knew it was all over, and I took my own life. Yes, that would let you out. But first, you'd have to kill me.
Oh, George, you're mad.
Now, let's think how you'd set about it. Same means as before. Persuade me to take a drink and put something in it.
I swear to you there's nothing in this drink. I swear to you.
Yes, Janet, I'll have a farewell drink with you. Out of a flask I filled myself.
All right, if that's the way you want it.
What's so funny?
Life.
I'm glad you can laugh at it. Here's to a long one. Oh, by the way, Henderson was right about Fury. I really...
Strange to see this happening again. It takes less than a minute, George. And the joke is you did it to yourself.
Janet. Janet, get Henderson, you know.
Thank you for the way out, George. It hadn't occurred to me. You're right, it's a good one. I think it will work. Till death do us part, just as you said. Do you hear me? No, you don't hear me. Doctor, I was just phoning you. I came into the room and I found him lying here. It's suicide, I think. He's not my husband.
I know. I've known all along. I met your husband the day he arrived. The mist brought him to my door first. I directed him here.
I think I'm going...
Come on. Drink this. There.
Oh,
It's better?
I've never done that before.